What's up, everybody? This is Chris bringing you another edition of the Car Concierge Show, the show that helps with the buying, selling, maintaining, and repairing of your vehicle. On today's show, we're going to talk about Volkswagen as it decides that it's going to do away with pop-out door handles as part of our recall watch segment. After that, we're going to check out Jaguar Land Rover as it goes through a cyberattack that is shutting down pretty much all of its production. And last but not least, we're going to talk about Tesla as we hear about a story where a man and his two children have died in their Tesla when it caught on fire because all of the electronics went out and no one was able to open the doors or bust out the windows to get these poor people out of this vehicle. So let's jump straight in. I want to go over to Volkswagen, and Volkswagen is deciding that it is going to do with a certain type of door handle, that I've never been a fan of pretty much, and that's pretty much the reason why we're doing this story today. Volkswagen is going to be doing away with the pop-out door handles for safety reasons and other things that, are causing problems for certain customers. So let's check this story out, and I'm going to give my opinion because this is a thing that I've never truly liked anyway. Alright, so we're going to go over the car tag. Volkswagen abandons pop-out door handles over safety concerns. This is written by Vikas Kaul, and this is from September 17th. Flush door handles, Volkswagen says no. Volkswagen won't build cars with pop-out door handles. Here's why. Volkswagen has confirmed it will not use flush pop-out door handles in future models. The decision comes after customer complaints, safety concerns, and technical challenges with vehicles already on the road. CEO Thomas Schaefer explained that user feedback was the main driver, showing that the handles were inconvenient and unreliable compared to traditional designs. And there is talk that China might ban them altogether. Safety issues sparked this shift. The turning point came with the ID4 crossover, where more than 100,000 cars had to be recalled. Moisture leaked into the electronic door controller, damaging circuit boards and in some cases causing doors to open while driving. Although backup mechanical releases were fitted, the failure rate was considered unacceptable for a high-volume model. Flush handles work through electronic release systems rather than mechanical linkages. This means reliability depends on waterproofing and sensors functioning correctly. When those systems fail, doors may not open or may open at the wrong time. The incident with the ID4 highlighted how a seemingly small design detail could create major safety risks. Now, this is going to be important for our main story of the day, but it's definitely one of the reasons that I do not like these systems for these door handles. It's pretty much one of my biggest pet peeves on electric vehicles altogether is that pretty much everything is ran off electronics. So anything from a loss of power to a sensor not working correctly to just a connector not being connected could cause you a major issue in one of these electric vehicles. And it's one of the things I always say is that, I would be almost absolutely fine with going back to cars with roll-up windows and doors that are completely mechanical because it's one of the biggest issues that you run into when you have these electric vehicles. All right, let's keep going. One of the original justifications for flush handles was aerodynamics. With handles tucked into the bodywork, drag is reduced slightly, which can in theory improve range for electric vehicles. Volkswagen's engineers found the actual gains to be too small to outweigh the complexity and risk. Now, I want y'all to take a look at this picture. Now, this is the main reason I'm not a fan of these door handles, specifically this particular door handle. Now look at it. It's a situation where it's recessed in, but when you get close to the vehicle with your key, it pops out. Okay. Now, my first thought was, if we were ever to get to a Skynet situation, and the Skynet was running the world, and it decided that it was going to start doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and you run out of a building that's probably blowing up because electronics are blowing up because Skynet's destroying things, and you get into a car and you have this car. and you decide, all right, I'm gonna get in it, and the door handle pops out like it's supposed to, and you stick your hand in there, but the door is not opening it, and you're gonna keep on pulling on it, and with your hand inside of that little notch. What do you think Skynet's gonna do? Well, Skynet's gonna grab your hand with this little notch and pull it back in. Now, I've seen this happen, but of course, it's never been to the point where somebody got hurt. But you see where I'm going with this. It's just a horrible design. And to stick your hand into a recessed slot that is going to be retracted back into the door, which could have your hand in it when it's being retracted in the door, and there's no system designed in there to stop it from retracting into the door with your hand inside of it. It's a stupid design in my mind. All right. Flush systems are also more complicated to manufacture and maintain. They require precise assembly, tight sealing, and integration with the car's electronic architecture. Traditional mechanical handles, on the other hand, are inexpensive, proven over decades, and remain functional even if electrical systems fail. That is the most important factor, because who doesn't want to be able to get in their cars? And this is going to be truly, truly important on our last part of this today's show. For customers, the maintenance difference matters too. Standard handles rarely require repair, while flush systems can involve replacement of motors, sensors, or control units. For fleet buyers and cost-conscious owners, this creates long-term expense and reliability concerns. A return to conventional designs. The recently revealed ID2 prototype shows Volkswagen moving back to classic pull-type handles. This signals a design philosophy that prioritizes reliability and customer familiarity over futuristic styling cues. Other car makers still offer flush handles, using them as visual markers of advanced technology. But Volkswagen's decision highlights a pragmatic approach. Instead of following design trends, it is choosing to focus on features that deliver clear benefits and proven usability. Industry rethinking flush handles. The wider industry is beginning to examine the risk of flush designs. Regulators in some markets have raised concerns that electronic-only systems could trap occupants during emergencies if the car loses power. These discussions reflect a growing recognition that certain styling features may create more problems than they solve. So Volkswagen choice reflects a broader trend in electric vehicles. As the market matures, buyers are looking for reliability, ease of use, and value rather than novelty for its own sake. Early adopters may have accepted futuristic features, but mainstream buyers expect everyday practicality. By sticking with conventional handles, Volkswagen is betting that customers will appreciate familiarity and reliability more than small efficiency gains or visual differentiations. The company's stance also reduces service costs, avoids complex recalls, and shows that user feedback is shaping its design choices. All right. So, now, I just never was a big fan of that design of handle for many reasons. Not only the recess into the door, the ability for you to get hurt by that, but also because that system has to be designed on, that door, the handle popping out when your key gets close to the vehicle. Now, I have a friend, and of course I work in a collision center, and he has a brand new, I think it's a 2025 Buick Envista or something like that. And his system, of course, the car unlocks and turns on when the key's near it. And the other day, he decided that he was going to, leave. He left his car out and he was going to a store, but the car was running. And of course, he had the key in his pocket, but the car was running. So, and the car locked itself when he got out and got close to the store, but there was some guy that was by his car or something. He said something to him, so he walked close to the guy, and that unlocked the car, and the guy jumped in his car and took off. Now, of course, the guy didn't get far, but the guy wrecked his car, and now it's at my shop waiting on mad parts need to be fixed to fix the car. So it's one of those situations where with keys that can unlock your vehicle, or when they're outside of the vehicle, and being able to drive a vehicle away without the key being inside it. These are all very detrimental things that, detrimental designs that people have ran with, and it's just causing more problems than they solve, pretty much. So, and yes, I would never buy a vehicle with a recessed door handle. I'm not gonna let Skynet let me stick my hand in there and then pop it closed, and now I'm stuck to my car or my hand is broke. It's just stupid. All right, let's keep on going. So next up, one of my favorite automakers has been in some serious stress as of lately because they've been under a cyber attack, and that would be Jaguar Land Rover. Jaguar and Land Rover. One of my favorite designers. I got a chance to ride in one when I was younger. Took one to prom. All these great things. So I'm a very big fan of Jaguar. Definitely a pimp's car. And so it troubles me that they're having all of these problems due to this cyber attack. So let's check it out.
The shift change in Solihull was unusually quiet today. No cars have been built at this factory or any others since Sunday. Jaguar Land Rover has told many workers to stay at home. Rabu was asked to come in.
What have you been doing today?
Nothing. I stayed here for nothing. I didn't do nothing.
Office staff are still in. They're trying to build a new system and everything to try and counteract the hack. But apart from that, there's just the managers are in that are really trying to figure out what to do with everybody.
JLR has suspended production worldwide in India, China, Brazil and Slovakia. The cyber attack has forced the company to shut down all of its IT systems. Jaguar Land Rover built 400,000 cars last year. Just over 250,000 of those were made in Britain, where the company employs almost 33,000 people, more than any other car maker in the UK. JLR says it's working on a controlled restart of its computer system, but for now, the company's struggling to register new vehicles with the DVLA, to order parts and to book shipments for export. A source familiar with the situation at Jaguar Land Rover has told ITV News this is catastrophic. It's a complete shutdown. Given everything else going on in the industry, the shift to electrification and President Trump's tariffs, it's the last thing the company needs. The longer this lasts, the more likely it is the government will have to step in with some form of financial support, particularly for JLR's suppliers.
Now, my question is going to be, is this the same attackers that attacked the U.S. automakers there not that long ago? And it could be because it sounds like it's pretty much the same kind of cyber attack. That attack was more about a particular system that automakers here were using. And this is a direct attack at Jaguar Land Rover, and the fact that it is shutting down all these systems. But of course, what I'm saying is that it is shutting down pretty much the same systems that they were shutting down when CDK was attacked. So just was wondering if it's the same attackers. We'll probably double back on this story just to find out once they establish that.
Well, JLR produce about 1,000 cars a day globally. That generates a profit for them every day of about £5 million. So that's the loss in profit every day.
So this is quite serious.
It's very serious indeed. Essentially, their global operations have ground to a halt.
JLR hasn't said who carried out the cyber attack or how they got in. Earlier this year, Marks & Spencer was forced to suspend its online sales for 15 weeks following a hack that ended up costing the business £300 million.
A recovery from this attack of this magnitude can often be measured in months and not weeks. And their silence on timelines suggests that they're still assessing the full scope of what's happened and assessing the damage.
In a statement, JLR told us that there's no evidence any customer data has been stolen, that retail and production activities have been severely disrupted, and that it is working with law enforcement agencies.
Now, Joel, you spoke to an insider who said that this was catastrophic. So exactly how serious is this for the company, in your opinion?
Well, look, it's worth remembering that Jaguar Land Rover is highly profitable. It made just over £2.5 billion last year, and it's owned by an Indian conglomerate, Tata, which has very deep pockets. But this is very serious. This hack has paralysed the company. We have spoken today to suppliers who are struggling to get orders through. We've spoken to people who are paid to build cars, who have absolutely nothing to do at factories. We've spoken to dealers who are struggling to register cars with the DVLA and therefore sell cars, because you can't drive a car off a forecourt unless it has been registered. So this has caused absolute chaos, absolute havoc. I mean, that much is crystal clear. It's also worth noticing that part of what seems to have happened is that JLR seems to have noticed what was going on and shut down its own systems in order to limit the damage. Now, there is tonight a group of people who seem to call themselves the Scattered Hunters, who are implying that they did carry out the hack in posts on the instant messaging app Telegram. Could be in confession, could be bravado. There's absolutely no way of noting.
Tight. All right, yeah, I mean,
The shift change in Solihull.
I mean, that's the biggest thing, or one of the bigger problems that I'm seeing or expecting, really with the advancement of electric vehicles and the advancement of this technology that we have in these vehicles is the ability for cyber attacks to be prevalent, for them to cripple automakers, to cripple vehicles, to cripple production, to the point where places like Jaguar Land Rover are suffering because of situations like this. Now, they haven't said anything about a ransom or a desire to, they said who said they might have done it, but they haven't put out any ransom. There's no end date in sight on when this is going to be over or completed. So this is a major problem for Jaguar Land Rover. The fact that they are not producing cars and not being allowed to sell cars, even though they're backed by some very, very rich people over at Tartar, it's still a blow to not only them, but of course all of the people who work for them. The salesmen at the dealerships who can't sell these cars because they can't register. The factory workers who are just staying at home because they can't work in the factories because the factory systems are not working correctly. It's just a horrible situation, and it's one of those things where the advancement of technology has put us at more risk than not. With the last cyber attack on CDK, which crippled so many automakers here in the U.S., that was just the beginning. I mean, we could see there could be cyber attack teams popping up left and right, and there's so many entities that they can attack to the point where how could we stop them? We're definitely going to have to come up with a better system of people, particularly in the military and definitely in the corporate world, of cybersecurity. That's pretty much why cybersecurity is such a booming industry right now, because of this very thing. Because with the advancement of everything that's happening comes more people who have a desire to benefit from bringing it down. So we just need to prepare. This Jaguar Land Rover attack, the CDK attack, all of these attacks tell us why there's such a massive boom when it comes to cybersecurity, because it is going, as we continue to advance into the future, it is going to continue to be more and more a important part of how we stop or how we continue to live under the idea that somebody could bring us down through technology. All right, so last but not least, we're going to talk about a situation that happened with a Tesla, as a man and his 2 children have died because the car caught on fire and the paramedics or emergency people weren't able to open the car up because the electronics were down and the doors wouldn't open. And this is pretty much what we've been talking about this whole show. So let's check it out.
A terrible traffic accident has shocked the community of Schwedt in the province of North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany. On the afternoon of Sunday, September 7th, at around 2:05 p.m., a Tesla electric car lost control while overtaking on Rothaus Strasse, the road that connects Schwedt to Islin. The vehicle, carrying a 43-year-old man and 3 9-year-old children, crashed violently into a tree and immediately caught fire. The toll is dramatic. Only one of the children managed to survive. He was rushed to hospital by helicopter. According to initial reports, the driver from Iserland attempted to overtake when, for reasons that are still being investigated, he lost control of the vehicle. The rescue operations were extremely complicated. The doors with electrically retractable handles would not open, probably due to damage to the electrical system after the impact. A shocked witness said, "I wanted to save them. I tried to open the doors, but I couldn't. They were too hot because of the fire. I tried to get those children out. I was desperate. I couldn't do anything." Quote, a tragedy that has left the community shocked and raised new questions about the safety of electric vehicles in emergency situations. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the...
All right. So, what are we talking about? And then, of course, it bears deep into our original story of today. And it's, this is pretty much one of the main things I talk about when I talk about EVs and being unsafe, and that TV show Upload that I told y'all about, and the man dying in that system because the car wouldn't open and the car was in its own control. And what we're really talking about is that these electronic vehicles are completely electronic to the point where without power, most systems don't work. And one of those systems particularly is, of course, the door handles. And more on top of that, the windows. Because, in a roll down window situation, as long as you can roll the window down, you should be able to jump out that car and survive. And in a situation where you have a door handle that is a standard door handle that you can pull, or there's a mechanism that opens the door that is not electronic, you can get that door open. And we will continue to have problems, specifically with you get into an accident and of course you have an electric vehicle and it loses power. Those doors are not going to open. Those windows are not going to come down. And you're going to be in a situation where people are going to get trapped in these vehicles like this situation here. And now, mind you, I bought all of my members of my family those little window popper things where you can put it up against the glass and it'll pop the window open. One thing that they can have that can, allow them to pop the window and maybe climb out, maybe get a couple of cuts, but other than that, survive. But they did not survive because the recessed door handles were recessed and people couldn't get them out. Somebody was trying their best to save these people and they couldn't. I don't know what the situation was with the windows, but of course, if the power was out, you're not going to be able to roll the windows up and down. I don't know what would stop them from, breaking the windows to get the person out. That would be the next move. But of course, they said that they could only save one person. And, could have been so many situations that would say, not allow you to, pop the windows, tint. I realized that the other day. If your windows are tinted, decent tint shade, that is going to make it harder for you to pop the window to break the glass. So, what we're talking about is that as we continue to advance into this world of EV vehicles and this new technology and recessed door handles, we have to make sure that we are prevalent and making sure that we understand that the safety parameters that we have to keep in our minds when these vehicles, I don't know. Honestly, at this point, I don't have an idea other than the window popper that would have saved these people in that Tesla if the doors weren't open. I don't know how big the children are. I don't know if even a person who broke the windows out had the ability to reach in or get the children because the fire was so hot or, so massive. But we have to, at all costs, as much as you can, prepare yourself for these things to happen. You know, catching fire, make sure you have the window popper. I don't know, small fire extinguishers maybe. I don't know what to do, but this is my worry. And this is why I'm so recluse about, purchasing particular EV vehicles, because of the way they're designed and my fear of, the traditional safety things that we would have in these vehicles not being in new EV vehicles to keep us safe. So, once again, no matter what car you have, try to be safe, try to keep as many safety things in your car as you can to keep you alive, or if you get into an accident, to first aid kits, number one. Maybe a emergency kit, a flare, some triangles so people can see you. A tire repair kit so you're not stuck on the road. But as much as you can, try to be safe when you're out there, so that you can come home to your family. Alright guys, I am Chris Surratt. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Car Concierge Show. Please hit the like, share, subscribe button. Hit me in the DMs if you have any questions or concerns. And I'm out. Peace.
Channel and activate